We can edit this in post.
Yeah, we'll edit this in post. Everybody
Yeah.
in YouTube world will see it, but everybody on the podcast will have to edit this all out.
Well, we should be live again, I think.
Let's see. I have one live chat, which I'm not hearing any sound on this live chat now. Oh, unless this is the old one.
It might be the old one that has not yet updated.
Da, 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 da. Intro music.
Introductory music.
Let's click live. We'll do it live.
No. Still a ragged mess.
We're still racking this. I wonder why.
Why does this hate us so?
Wonder if I stop this. Hold on. I'm stopping Audacity.
No. Nope. Wait. Still a ragged mess. Now we're good.
Still racking this.
Now we're good.
I wonder. Oh, that was. Wait, hold on. Keep playing it.
Why does this hate us so? This is live.
If I stop this.
Yeah, and we have a viewer that says it's good now.
And that was before I stopped Audacity, so that's okay.
Still a ragged mess. Boom. Now we're good. There it is.
All right. Well,
and we're back.
Not yet. Let me try.
No, for our live users, we're back.
For our live users, our live viewers, yes.
For the millions that are currently watching us live. Thank goodness the chat lit up. Like it was just like I couldn't even keep up with all the people just saying, guys, I can't understand you. I'm sad. Like, what are we going to do if we don't hear what you're saying? I don't know what I'll do with my life. I don't know what decisions to make without you. So, yeah, glad
you keep talking. I'm taking my headphones off for a second.
Hey, someone's got to actually entertain the people who pay to watch our show, which is no one. None of you pay. I've been counting. And exactly 0 of you have paid. So you get what you pay for, and you paid for nothing.
And you pay for nothing, and you get nothing.
So here we are.
All right, I'm just editing out now, so I don't have to do it later. All of the downtime, downtown.
Probably best to do that while we're live.
Look, how many people are watching us right now?
1,000.
1,000 people.
1,000 currently.
1,000 current.
Give or take. 900.
Who do you think who do you think we are? Johnny Jalopy?
Oh, Choppy Jelani. How come? One of these days he should just tell all of his viewers watch us instead.
He does every Monday night when I go.
No, I said instead.
Instead.
Because then we could swap our viewership.
Right. All right, I'm going to go right back into this here.
You go right into it.
Right into it. All right, and then he says, I sent out 8 bottles of 5 different beers. Maybe a little overboard, but I'm hoping you all can have fun with it. Don't try and drink it all in one show, LOL. Because 8 beers is a lot. I know, and you're a huge beer fan, also.
You know how much I like, and I drink it fast. And the bubbles make my stomach feel great.
Bubbles, you love the bubbles. It's you mostly do beer bongs, and then the occasional.
Oh yeah,
and you're a big fan of both.
Of course.
So they were sent out. They're not here yet, but they should be arriving soon. And then when they get here on their next show, we'll have to drink 1 or 2 of them and try them. So we have some beers for the next couple of shows. Adam, thank you very much. When we get them, we will talk more about you and how awesome of a fan you are.
Not at all until not a single.
Yeah. I'm going to do that in a second, but this is people. Do you know what it is?
Well, if I had to guess,
Adorable
Star Wars Dorby.
Yeah, adorable. So
adorable.
Adorable. These are these cute little characters that then pop out. I have the last Spellbound Esther's Pumpkin Ale, so I'm sure this one has been sitting forever.
Pumpkin. Is this from October?
It's probably from October, November.
October, yeah.
It's from last October. October of 2021.
All right, look at that pour. That's a good pour.
It's a good pour, except my hand's in the way. All
Yeah.
right. Dun, 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 dun.
Eh, there
Not
it
bad.
is. All
Still got a
right.
lot of bubbles in it from being a
L'chaim.
pumpkin here, L'chaim.
So Star Wars.
Star Wars.
So we had all these kids going on their senior trip, coming back with like, oh, such and
Uh,
such got this blade, and I got this blade, and I'm just like, yeah.
so you need to become a class advisor in all of your free time, so that way
Sure.
you get to
Yeah,
go
that's
on the
that's
trip.
definitely
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
So Disney
Yeah.
Doorables for Nick, that you don't know, I don't know if you'll ever get to know because your daughter is too young now for these because she could eat these, and then by the time
Yeah, for
she's
sure.
ready for them, they probably won't be a thing anymore. But Disney Doorables now has a um, Star Wars version of Disney Doorables. So
Oh,
inside
so
these
these are
sets
a
are
pre-existing thing, and they are now, of course, as Disney does, we'll take this idea and apply it to all of our IPs.
correct. So I'm sure we're going to get a Marvel one next. But there's all
Oh, look
these.
at that guy.
Look at him. He's an
That
adorable
little guy.
little C3PO. So that's the first one I got. There's 4 of them in this pack. My wife and I had an argument. I bought it because she likes to open them, but then we don't do
She
anything
doesn't
with
care
them.
about what's
So I was
inside.
like,
Yeah.
well, I'll get you the Doorables, but they'll be Star Wars. So you can open them and then we can keep them here. And she's like, they're not for me, they're for you. So I tried to make it for both, but so I just have to get regular Adorables for her, I guess.
But like now you're kind of making me hungry because just from here, it just kind of looks like you're opening up like fruit snacks packets or something. And now I just want gushers.
That's right. And don't eat these because the second one is a very
Oh, it's
adorable
Norman. Oh,
Norman, a
that's
little
probably. I
baby
think that's
Yoda.
just Yoda, right? Is it regular Yoda or baby Yoda? He's got a staff, doesn't he?
He does have a staff, so it's just
So that's got to
regular
be regular
Yoda.
Yoda.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not baby Yoda.
a baby version of Yoda, but not baby
An
Yoda.
adorable version of Yoda. Yes, I have 2 more, and then we'll move on to the news because I only do 2 of the news articles. This was my favorite as a kid. Dun, 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 dun,
Oh,
bow.
great! That is adorable. I
Yeah,
will tell you that I think that is
R2D2,
very cute.
cute little R2D2, and then the last one is here we go, opening up the Skittles. Oh no, Skittles everywhere. Oh, this one is for Mike, who we had on the show. It
That is
is,
great.
yeah, Java. It's a little Java, yeah. And then Smooth. Oh yes, look at this. So you can put this all together, and then you can store
They
them right
display
into the
themselves.
jar
That's
as
nice.
you put them on the shelf.
I like
So
that.
behind me, like
How much money? Just these little, these figurines you have. Well, yeah. So have you watched? I don't know. I think I might have last time. Any of you? I don't know. Remember? Anyway,
I watched like the first 2. Yes.
did you watch the animated at all?
I think I Trey was into it, so I think I watched it. I wasn't paying sure close attention, maybe. But I do remember like the
This is Dave.
Oh,
Uh, last Airbender was
his
Dave
whole
Filoni.
big thing, yeah,
It
was
was
his
his first big gig.
yeah.
Yeah. Which did so well because the storytelling was so long ago. I don't know if you know, but the people in Yap movie that came out that did not exist. It does not exist. It never happened.
Except you can watch.
Because, because of how bad it was. Right? There was a movie that came out had
Right.
probably.
And The Rock. Yeah, Danny DeVito.
Yeah. It was The Expendables. So they came out with a new live. They off that Star Wars hasn't done this well yet so far. Because each episode was over an hour long.
Okay, yeah. As opposed to Mandalorian, which is all 27.
So like okay, they have time to get things, but and yet like wow.
Right, it wasn't extra long.
Yeah.
Walking scenes.
And there was stuff like, like the fight scene. So one of the big complaints, and one of the complaints mostly to the TV show, like there are some things like overall, it's like a shot for shot almost really sometimes. Like they stuck very fast.
It's a product.
This is product completely.
It's like when they do live, I feel like they're doing the same thing. Like it's just redone all over again. Now just with people.
And I get that.
It's like,
I think like Avatar is so people just want to see that like that like the storytelling is so good you don't have to begin as like an original story from Dave Filoni. In the manga, it's actually not even anime technically. Like it's because it's an American studio and stuff. It's not even considered anime. But there are comics and stuff.
Season 2 differently because that origin story out there.
Yeah.
And just tell the origin story.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping whatever they do with season 1, I hope they continue because like again, the guts of the story. There were a couple of changes, like a couple that made sense, and a couple that I was like, there's one of the big memes from Avatar is like there's this in the middle of this like little trippy group of like hippies that are like essentially in the mountain and they're searching. Include that like it's not cheesy. So I don't know. It bothers me.
No. Jason says this Dave Filoni. For it. So let's hit the news. All right. So the first one in my feed, it was every single article by every single Disney adjacent, Star Wars adjacent website, podcast, whatever you want to call it. Disney reveals how much money they got return on investment for Marvel and Star Wars franchises.
Go on.
Disney reveals that they have made a $21 billion return on investment for Marvel and Star Wars franchises. Disney had
how much did they pay for each?
I will tell you that in 1 second. Disney has offered a glimpse of how profitable its franchises are as a proxy battle with activist investors try and fund management and Blackwell's capital heats up. In a presentation released this week, the House of Mouse revealed that it has seen 9.9 return on investment on Frozen, a 5.5 times return on investment on Toy Story, a 3.3 times return on investment on Marvel, and a 2.3 time return on investment in Star Wars. Per the filing, Disney suggests Marvel and Star Wars have generated 11.6 billion and 13.2 billion. So Star Wars 13.2 billion they have made since their $4 billion acquisitions in 2012. So
Wow.
they paid $4 billion to George, and they have now made $13 billion on it.
Wow.
Um,
Not a bad
so
payday.
yeah, not a bad payday. Star Wars notes the opening of Star Tours. Star Tours: The Adventure Continues in Galaxy's Edge. The release of the original prequels and sequel trilogies, The Mandalorian, The Book of Boba Fett, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Andor, Ahsoka, and the upcoming releases of 3 untitled films in 2026. Like 12 different websites reporting the same news because they need a first chance to drop. You heard it here first. You heard it here first. Because you heard it
Somewhere else with your eyes. You heard it with your ears.
With my ears. I've been injured in the ears.
No, tell me.
You know what that's from?
What is it?
Salmon movie. One of my favorite.
Oh, Madison.
William Madison.
Right.
That's from I'm sorry.
Because I remember Veronica Mall. Yeah.
Yes. She when she pulls him out of the room because he's making.
That's right.
Today. She's. But yeah, so yeah, that's that. We do.
Like I want either there's I think a washed up old Jedi master who like hangs. He's an older and he just comes out like. Like Han Solo type. Like, just with the best.
Well, I mean, we got Jack Black playing a serious role, so it would even be funny for not even like a full costume. Like you kind of are watching going, is that Adam Sandler? Like that would be definitely an old washed up Jedi of some sort. Right?
Or like they made him so like the horns and stuff. But it was so
that would be really funny. I like that. I
call us.
Next time Dave calls me and asks me for advice, I'll tell him. So this one I found, and this one I had to do for you because maybe now you'll be a little bit nicer. Star Wars child actor Jake Lloyd.
I did see this.
Yes, has schizophrenia. His mom reveals. So the poor fellow, the former actor's mom,
some sort of.
Yeah, she opened up about.
And he's in like an inpatient center and stuff.
Yeah, he's been in a rehabilitation center for 10 months out of an 18-month treatment, and he has also battles anosognosia, a condition.
That was totally it. Give another try. I want to hear it again.
Anosognosia, a condition where a person Anosogonia, I don't know, a condition where a person cannot recognize their illness and that the need for medication, according to Cleveland Clinic. Anoso.
Hold on. Listen. Anosognosia.
Exactly, just how I said it.
Anosognosia. I just asked Google. That's really cool. They have a new enunciation there. Anosognosia.
Anosognosia, where he doesn't even know that he can't that he needs medicine. She said in March 2023, the two were driving when Jake Lloyd told her he wanted to stop the car. He turned the car off in the middle of a 3-lane highway. We were in the middle lane, she said. The police got there and they asked Jake some questions. He was talking to them, but none of it made sense. It was all word salad. So then he's been in a mental institution since.
Word salad is among the leafier of the types of salad.
Yes. So I feel bad for Jake Lloyd. He got a bad rap because he was a kid acting. It's not his fault that Disney hired a kid who couldn't act, but that's not his fault.
There are
Disney's
so
fault for
many
hiring
there
them.
are so many ways that you could have gone with that, but you went with it's not his fault they hired someone who couldn't act. It's not his fault they hired a crappy kid.
Yeah, I mean, hey,
I mean, fair.
it's their
That's
fault
great.
for doing it to this poor
To
kid.
be
So
fair to the mouse, I don't think Disney owned Star Wars at the time.
true, very true. So it's
So
George's
we'll
fault.
blame Lucas. Yeah,
George
we'll
just
blame
said the
Georgie.
first kid that walks through the door is the one that we're going to hire.
George had just seen a recent screening of the seminal holiday classic Jingle All the Way.
He said, "I'm with
And he
that
said,
kid.
"That's the kid. That's
That's
the
the
kid I
kid.
want." As
That's
soon
the
as he
kid I want.
went, "It's turbo time," he's like, "That's the guy. That's
That's
the
it.
one."
That's the kid." So they're the only two news articles I have since we talked so much about all kinds of other things. I'm gonna cut that short. So
Ding ding
that's
ding ding
the
ding ding.
end of Disney news, and then we'll go to a commercial break, and we'll be back with a rundown of episodes 5, 6, and 7.
Capitalism.
Capitalism, buy it, buy it all. All
Buy
right.
it, rent it, own it, send it, ship it, funk it, juke it,
I
dip it,
ship
duck,
my
dip,
pants.
dive.
Remember
I
that
just
commercial?
shipped my pants. That's right. That was a classic.
That was a good one.
You know,
All
there's
right.
another one that I was thinking about the other day that I hadn't thought about in a long time. There was, I think it was a Snickers commercial, and it's just like a guitar with this dude singing over chocolate covered mountaintops and waterfalls of caramel. Do you remember this one?
No, and I
Oh,
watch
it's a
a lot
great
of
one.
TV, so I'm surprised
And
I don't
and then
remember.
there were the freecreditreport.com when they had all those
Uh-huh.
freecreditreport.com.
Yeah,
I
I
should have
remember those.
seen it coming at me. They
Yeah,
were
I
classic.
remember that one.
I think the 2000s were the gold, like a golden age for advertisement.
Yes, for cheesy advertising
Yeah.
jingles. All right,
Anyway,
so into the Bad Batch we go. Season 3,
we
episode
do.
5 is titled
So I got to tell you,
Return.
I feel like I have a hard time with Bad Batch because every scene I feel like that Spider-Man meme where it's just Spider-Man kind of pointing at Spider-Man, you know what I mean? Like
Uh-huh.
I can never like it's a character shows up and I'm like, "Oh, it's that guy."
It's that guy.
It's the same guy that they're all the same person. Like
And that's the problem because they all of the clones look very similar. All the clones are all voiced by the one
yeah.
guy.
You have to go,
So
like,
it's
"Oh,
like
that one has a crew cut."
yeah,
Or, "Oh, that one has a scar here."
yeah, and it was funny. Like I was watching friend of the show Ryan Airy, and he thought in episode 6 that Wolves was in episode 6, or Wolf was in episode 6, and then he realized that Wolf didn't show up until episode 7. So
Yeah.
because they all look the same, he was like, "Oh, whatever." So the return tension rises as our heroes navigate new dynamics on a dangerous mission. So this one, I'll give you
It
the
felt a
rundown.
little fillery.
It was a little fillery. It also felt a little Jurassic Parky.
Yeah.
So uh,
You know, at one point, I forget, it might have been Wrecker, I forget who, but one of them said what the audience was thinking, and it was like, "Why is it always a big monster?" or something like that. I was like,
yeah,
"Yeah,
exactly.
why is it?"
Why are we always fighting big monsters? Yeah.
Yeah.
So we open up Crosshair's target shooting when Echo comes back, and they're still not happy with each other. So this whole season story arc is Crosshair running into everybody that he has now done dirty because he stayed with the Empire, and everybody who has left the Empire is now mad at him because he tried to kill them or something while he was in the Empire.
Seems like a
So
reasonable thing to be mad about.
I mean, I understand. Yes. So Echo Crosshairs are not happy. Crosshairs knows of a base that they can get through to fix the encrypted data pad that they can't understand, and this takes us back to a throwback to when he got himself into trouble. I guess in episode 1 of this season, right? Or when did he shoot the lieutenant? Was that in season 2?
I
Yeah,
think that was last season.
that was last season when he shot the lieutenant and then got arrested. Yeah, so this takes us
Mhm.
back to season 2. Um, they're all trying to keep Omega safe and tell her that she doesn't need to come with. She can stay here. And of course, Omega says, "No, I want to go with also." We now know that her M counts are very high,
Yes,
um,
which is important.
which is very important. We haven't really seen her do any Jedi esque things.
No, and I read some things where where like it. Some people think it has nothing to do with her being because like I guess you could have a high M count and not use the Force or anything, but like I mean the whole the kind of I would imagine the game plan here is that Empire's hunting her because Palpatine's trying to make himself a clone body
Right.
that can
Right.
actually hold on to his Force powers. And someone with a high M count is the only person who could withstand those sorts of Force powers and not lose them, something like that.
Yeah.
So, like, she has a high M count, but yeah, you're right. You know, we haven't seen her there's been no like, and that's I think since the Bad Batch came out, our whole thing has been, oh, she's probably Force sensitive, and like you know,
Right.
if you got a high M count, it's like so, but there's never even been a moment of like, oh, well, she did that with the Force, right?
Yeah, she hasn't been able to predict anything, like sense anything coming. She hasn't been able to, do any force stopping bullets or like Grogu was able to put the little force dome over them when the bombs were going off. She
Even
hasn't shot.
Sabine was able to like pull stuff to her and stuff, you know,
Yeah,
and
she was
she had
finally
barely any Force in her.
she had barely any M counts at all. So yeah, so she was able to finally at the very end do what Kevin Smith was never able to do in Mallrats and get that lightsaber to jump
Do
him over him.
what all of us have never been able to do with the remote control at
What
some point or
all of
other.
us have tried 100 times to try.
Oh yeah,
Yes, so no. So Omega tells. Oh, and this was a good Easter egg, I guess. Omega tells Crosshairs that she's older than he is
that's right.
in this episode.
That's
So
right.
she calls him her little
Because
brother.
she ages naturally, whereas they
Hmm.
have been artificially sped up.
Yeah, so she's like Boba Fett, where she is not artificially
That's
maturing the
right.
way the rest of the clones do. So I thought that was a fun tell because now we know that she was around when before the Bad Batch was created in test tubes. She was already there. So I
Yeah,
like,
but it makes you wonder like how long? Because like, you know, you figure if she was like one or two when they were grown and they take like however long, so they were probably at maturity early. So, you know, if after like 4 years they were at maturity and she was still seven,
yeah,
you know, they were
yeah,
probably still, I don't know. This is a strange conversation.
yeah.
Anyway,
um. So anyway, so then they Crosshairs tells them about this planet that they can go to. He knows an abandoned um Empire base. So they go to the snowy planet where Crosshairs was when he killed the lieutenant back in season 2, which got him all locked up. Um, and this is a good line also. They said somebody said, "Why was the base abandoned?" And he said, "Well, it served its purpose." And then that's when Hunter says, or Crosshairs might have even said, "It sounds familiar."
yeah.
Crosshairs and Hunter, they finally have their argument and their duel. They have it out right in the same spot that Crosshairs killed the lieutenant out in front of the base. Um, and then you hear a little bit of rumbling, but they're still fighting over it. They're inside. They have to change all the power settings to get the data ports to work inside. So in doing so, this is where we get to the Jurassic Park moment where they turn off the fence. And Crosshair says that was to keep the raiders out. And he says, "How do you know all the raiders are gone?" He's because I was there. They turn the fence off so that way they can power up the inside. And then I found it very interesting. Hunter supposedly has all of these extra senses. He can sense things a lot faster.
Sure.
But the dog inside the house, Bowser inside the house,
Thatcher.
Batcher notices, which is a girl, notices something is wrong before Hunter does. Maybe because
Well,
Hunter
that's because Puppy's the goodest girl.
she is the goodest girl. So then they get the data disk and they find out that it only has
How's she
medical
coming?
records on it. So you trying to get your goodest girl?
Yeah, my goodest
Come
boy.
here,
Up, up,
come here, Batcher. So
up,
that only
Patrick.
has medical records on it. Then Batcher senses something. Hunter's outside. He does not. Crosshairs admits to killing the officer right here. Oh, there's Lester.
Hmm.
And then tells him how he tried to warn them and that it was Hunter's fault that Omega got taken. So this was a little bit of, he said, she said argument here.
Yep.
Crosshairs knows that Hunter's mad at him for Omega getting captured. And then Crosshairs is like, look, it wasn't my fault. It was your fault. If you would have just listened to me, she wouldn't have gotten captured. And then right in the middle of it, then a Pokemon magically appears out of the
Yeah.
ground. And they're trying to catch all the Pokemon. This giant snake thing, which what's the deal? They love giant snake things in Star Wars.
Yeah,
Um,
well, a lot of sci-fi really. You got the Dune giant snake thing. You got Beetlejuice, the giant snake thing. You
yeah,
know, a lot of giant snake things.
yeah. Apparently, we don't like snakes, so having giant snakes makes it even worse.
Yeah,
And
I
then
mean, listen, I don't like snakes, and the thought of a giant snake sounds terrible.
yeah, I agree. And then I just wrote down big fight. So
Big fight.
the fight was good. Did you like it or like? So when you said you're just like there's that and there's that, what did you think of the episode as a whole? Because it was they go to the base to find out. They're just they're we're the whole thing is we're trying to find out why the Empire is hunting Omega. And every episode we're getting slightly closer, but not really closer
That's
to
what it
finding.
feels. It just feels like every episode is another tease. You know, like that's what I feel like everything has been since Marvel. It's like, all right, we're gonna release this next thing as a tease to the next thing, which will be a tease to the next thing. So like every episode, it's like we're not getting a whole lot of development. We're just getting like like, hey, a whole bunch of stuff happens, and then we inch closer to this plot and a whole bunch fight and like, oh, we got to get the power converters, and we got to fix our data pad, and oh, M count. You know, like it just
Yeah,
feels like they're with the Mandalorian, we've talked about it, how it kind of makes sense, that small scope, like town to town, like, and then every now and then the greater picture, but like it doesn't work for everything.
right,
Like it just
right.
feels like they're not putting enough like there's not enough at stake. I don't
Okay.
feel I did never really feel. I don't know. It always just feels kind of like and tune in till next time, folks.
Right, which is the
Yeah,
way, the original Clone Wars always ended with the
right.
cheesy 1950s, announcer guy on this
But
episode.
oddly enough, it didn't bother me as much with Clone Wars.
Okay,
Probably because it had Jedi and stuff in it, and I thought that was cool.
maybe, maybe.
I'm just not as invested. Like it's the same thing I've been saying the whole time with Bad Batch. Like I'm not as invested in these characters as I am with the Jedi and with the Skywalkers, and But like
Yeah,
even then, like it doesn't necessarily have to be about invested in the characters. Like I like new characters. Like Din Djarin was introduced, and it's not like I was like, oh, that's a new character, I'm not invested in them. Like I'm just there. I'm not as intrigued by these characters as I have been by others.
okay, and that's a fair point. Um, I f I feel the same way. I do enjoy it. I feel maybe more than you do, but Uh, I I do like in the 3 seasons, the story arc that they have gone on. I do like where they're headed as opposed to where they began, and even, like, the 2nd season really started to come along when they were, um, basically doing all the small scale things where they had to do this bounty and do this for Rhea Perlman and stuff. So I did
Right.
enjoy because that was closer to the Mandalorian, like the best time of the Mandalorian when he was just doing getting this bounty and going there and all the small scale stuff. Um, Now that they're back to like a large scale big story rather than a bunch of small stories that are going to eventually tie together somehow or whatever. It is a little bit more a little less interesting almost. While it's more interesting because you're finding out deeper things, I want more individual action, I guess. And if this wasn't the last season, I think we would probably get that in the next season, a lot
Yeah.
of small scale stuff, but
I think that, like, now that I'm thinking about it, one of the things that bothers me a little, there's kind of a new push in Star Wars that like is like Star Wars isn't all about Jedi, you know what I mean? It's like,
right.
hey, here's a story that includes no Jedi. But like the best parts of Star Wars are not the science parts because it's not a science fiction. It's a
Right.
fantasy.
It's a fantasy,
It's
yeah.
a fantasy story set in a science fiction like background, but it's not even science fiction because the science
No,
doesn't make
it no, and they're just more it's just a more advanced society than ours that
yeah,
has spaceships and stuff like that, so
right.
that's where people get
So
it
like
confused with science fiction.
yeah, and if you like find real hardcore science fiction fans, they was like Star Wars, get out of here with that crap. Star Wars is not science fiction. I think what draws me to Star Wars is the fantasy aspect of it. I like you know Game of Thrones, like knight and dragon, and like those classic sort of tales of like the wise mentor passing on their knowledge.
Mm,
That's kind of what Star Wars I think gives it a little bit of its magic, and I think I understand why they're like rebelling against it a little bit, and it worked with like Rogue Squad or Rogue One and stuff. But like again, they used Rogue One as a way to explain about a story we already knew and cared about.
right.
This is like it's like okay, here's this gap in time, we're gonna fill it
Yeah,
with
they're
stuff,
gonna
and
fill
I
it.
think some of it's interesting, and I am up front, but like it feels like they're trying to pull it's the same thing they did with the Game of Thrones TV show. Like if you read the Game of Thrones books, there's so much more magic and mystery and like fantasy elements
Okay.
for the TV show that they completely stripped away. Even in like the earlier seasons that are good, they stripped away a lot of the fantasy elements, even with like leaving in the White Walkers and stuff. Um, and I think that took a little the magic away, but they were like worried about it being having mass appeal, I guess.
Okay.
Um, so I don't know. It just feels to me like for the sake of mass appeal, they're stripping away some of the fantasy. And to me, it's just not why I like Star Wars. But
Sure. And I also think they're trying very hard to fill those gaps, and they know where they have to get to, so
right.
they're trying to give you a story that fills those gaps, and, as opposed
The
to
gaps weren't set up for a story to happen. That's the interesting thing
right.
is like
Yeah.
this happens, they know this happens, but like they didn't write this with the idea that this would happen and then there'd be stuff in between. So like they're
Yeah.
having to fill those gaps and having to figure out, okay, how can we get from here to here? And
Right.
so like sometimes it lands and sticks, and sometimes I feel like it just falls kind of
And
flat.
even with this, like, we see Rex and Wolf and Gregor in Star Wars Rebels.
Right.
When the Rebels go and they're hanging out with the 3 clones,
Right.
those are 3 clones that we see in these 3 episodes
Hmm.
now 10 years before that. So they're trying to still like, okay, we want to incorporate these people and we got to make it in a way so that they will hang out together in the future. So it's almost ruining the effects that's and the story that's going on now because you know where it's going,
Right.
which is what like Rogue One, except I liked what they did at the end of Rogue One, where all the people that were in charge of getting the information to Princess Leia were all killed. So it's like
Yep.
you didn't see that coming because none of those people were in the other story in episode
Right.
4, you know? So that was a good way of giving you that filler story, but then not
And
having these characters lingering.
yep, and even then, like Saw Gerrera, we were kind of introduced to. I think we were introduced a little to Saw Gerrera for them, but like they've done a lot with Saw Gerrera since,
Yeah.
which is great. They tied him in later, but like having him there, it was like,
Mhm.
okay, here's this important character, and then we learn more about him later. This is him at the end.
Yeah.
They didn't have
Yeah.
any like. It's not like, oh, he's gonna live. We know that.
Right, right, yeah. So in this episode, back to this episode, there's a big fight. Hunter and Crosshairs both go to fight or drag out the snake worm thing outside the barriers, and they do it together. Whether it's because neither of them trust each other or because they do, or whatever the case is, but so they go out together, and by the time they're done, they get the snake outside. Then they realize that Crosshairs is in fact with them and not against them, and he's not trying to sabotage them. So then they make up, and I do like the lines, the end lines of all three of these episodes were pretty good. As they're walking back, I forget who says it to Omega, but one of them says they always work it out. This time there isn't even any blood. They're and I say they're closer, they're closer, but not close to finding the base to free the rest of the clones, which is story arc number 2 is to free all the rest of the clones that are captured. Story arc number 1
Right.
is to keep Omega safe. And now story arc number 3 is Rex's rebellion, his what did they kept calling it, not a the little group that they have going on there, their little sect, their little whatever.
Mm,
So
I don't
step
remember.
3 is separatists, the separatists. We
Separatists,
got
that's right.
separatists
Yes.
together to form the rebellion.
And
Uh,
those separatists, like, I think if you look into like the background on some of them, like some of them you find out were separatists during the Clone Wars.
yeah,
So they
yeah,
remain separatists, and like, yeah,
mhm,
it's really I do like how they worked some of that in.
yeah. And then at the very end, he says, "All we do is keep trying to get better." Oh, I thought I was being a good soldier. Um, Crosshair says, and then he says, "All we do is keep trying to get better." So that's Hunter basically saying, "I forgive you." So that's how
Right.
episode 5 ends. And episode 6 is called Infiltration. And he's this is when we now see wolves, or not wolves, we see what's his name? Most of my squad, he turns Hauser,
That clone.
that other clone, Hauser. Most of my squad from Rylock is dead because of you.
Hauser, I hardly know her.
um Hauser is who Crosshairs turned in back in season 1. We see them again. He's not happy. And then I wrote, this is a theme that Crosshairs is now atoning for all of the sins when he went back to the Empire. So now here's the next person. Oh, this person doesn't like him. And then we see Rex is leading the Senator Chuchi, who was fighting for the Clone Wars, fighting for clone rights. She's going to meet another senator as they're trying to talk, and that's when Clone X we see through his sniper rifle, and he's trying to
Yes.
kill the two of them. What did you think of Clone X and his armor? I thought it was pretty cool. I want to 3D print that helmet because it was a pretty neat
It's
helmet.
it's cool, but like I feel like we never see his face, right?
Nope. Kind. He is a clone. So at
Right.
the end, at one point, his helmet does open up like Iron Man.
Yeah.
So we do see his
I
face.
just I just don't get why he has this face mask on the entire time when it's like it's not some it's a clone. Like,
Right.
I
Yeah.
get it. You're like I guess they're trying to differentiate him as like, oh, this is a badass clone. Like
Right.
this one's real good.
This one's real good.
This
He's
one
got this
won't.
cool mask. He's gonna wear it the whole time.
His voice had a modulator too, right? Like his voice wasn't like when he was in the mask, the voice was modulated.
Yes. Yeah.
So like it was like unless you're trying to hide you're who you are, but like otherwise it's like, hey, I'm gonna open up my mask and it's a clone.
It's another clone. Hey, look at that. And it's not even like the clone, the Bad Batch, where they're what did he call
A
themselves?
little different, yeah.
Clones? Yeah, he looks just like all the
Right.
rest of them. So
Yeah.
so Rex is an undercover mission leading Obi Shin to take him to Senator Churchy. Bad Batch was going to save him in season 1, but they threw back the bounty puck back to Rhea Perlman, and they said we're not working, we're not saving a separatist. So in season 1, they were still too brainwashed, military brainwashed into no, we're not doing anything with separatists, and now they're pretty much leading the charge to save all the separatists. So it's interesting how
Right.
that has evolved. Um, and then the other guy, um, the guy that they're protecting, he looks like an old Middle Eastern king, and the
Yes.
town looked very Middle Eastern too, with a lot of like domes and the lanterns and stuff like that. So it was a neat look that this whole, and this isn't the first time that we've seen this planet. We've seen this 2 or 3 times in other series in Clone Wars and things like that. So we're back to a familiar esque planet. So nothing new there. Uh, all Clone X were brainwashed and their minds were basically erased. Clone X was back from season two. The clones talk about at one point Gregor's recipe. When they get back, he says, "Oh, I have Gregor's recipe with some of my own special touches," and that's when Wrecker's like, "Oh yeah, I love food." So
Right.
Gregor's the third guy that Rex is with in Rebels. So we don't see him yet, but they do mention him. So they're trying to tie in once again people from the future and in the past together so that we know that they're still alive, even though we already know that. And then they tell Hunter that they capture the assassin and they take a data puck, which is what we see in, of course, the Mandalorian. And on the data puck is not only the uh, senator, but also dun 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 Omega is on there that they have to try and find them. So now we know this is where the big thing is going. They capture Clone X with the stun, which I feel like the Bad Batch uses a stun a lot rather than killing people. They always are stunning and whichever, which is nice because then at least they're not complete
Disney.
assassins.
Oh, look, they're the good guys. They don't kill.
The good guys don't kill. The good guys just stun. But then they capture them, and then they lock them up, and then they go back
They
to their
take the
place
chip out
with
of his
the
tooth.
yeah. They take the chip out of his tooth because they know that he can do that, but they don't know about the extra
The other
tracking
chip,
device, the other
extra,
chip.
extra.
Yeah, they go to an old uh, Bomar Palace, which is the same thing that Jabba the Hutt. His his
Right.
castle is the same type of palace.
So this
And
particular palace, I think, was in the original Clone Wars movie.
okay, and the
It's like a
spiders,
throwback to that.
yeah, the robot spiders that are walking around are
Yeah.
actually the brains of the old um people that the monks that used to live there when they
Right.
got so elevated that their brains came out and they put them in these spiders. So when you see them in Java's palace, they're actually the former monks who used to live there who are just like walking around as spiders now. Pretty
Messed up.
creepy. So, he says, uh, this was funny. Wrecker says, "Oh, they don't seem happy to see us," which is also a flashback to season one when they're walking through the food line and everything else, and they're on the planet that all the clones are made on, and none of the clones like them because they're all different than them.
Yep.
Omega gets a new bow. I don't know why we needed her to get a new bow, but she gets a new bow.
Yeah.
So there we go.
I
It's a
mean,
green bow now.
she's a bow lady. She needs a bow. The old bow's gone. Here's a bow.
Oh, I guess
This
she
was a
lost
bow
the old bow,
caster.
right? Yeah. Oh, Pierce when she got captured, she lost her bow. That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
So they give her a new bow, and then they find out about her M counts and her force sensibility, and then Clone X sees her, and then he reports in that we have the primary target, and they say, "Don't do anything to her. Leave her alone. We will come and we
Right.
will capture her alive."
They want her
And that's
alive.
how
Yeah.
the episode ends. So it was like a fast episode,
Mm-hmm.
but it went like you said, it's like full of just building up.
Yep.
Like I felt the first four episodes were really good because it was crosshairs and her escaping. It was a good escape, and we get the band back together. But now that the band is back together, now everybody's not happy with each other, and now we're going through trying to find out more things about why they wanted to capture Omega in the first place. And now episode 7 is called yeah, I can easy for you to say.
You got this. Go for it.
Extraction. There we go. I
That's the
got it.
one. Nice job.
That's the word. Wolf
It's a
is
hard
now
one.
leading the team to get
Of
Omega.
course, Wolf.
Wolf, of
Freaking Dave.
course. There's got to be somebody with. There's got to be a wolf in it. Um, there was a meme. It was Scooby Doo with a sandwich that said wolves, and then another
Yeah.
sandwich right next to it that said Dave Filoni. Um, so he's leading the extraction team to try and get Omega because he's got to take her back, and he doesn't know that all these clones are now fighting back. He's still so brainwashed, and he's working for you without a beard. The doctor, um,
Me without a beard?
you without a beard. What's the
You
doctor's name?
think
Doctor.
Pershing? No, Pershing.
No, not that. No, no, no. The one in this. The one who's
Oh, he's me without a
Hemlock.
beard?
Hemlock. Yeah,
Hemlock.
yeah. Because
Yeah,
when you
that's
get your
right.
hair cut, I said last week when you
That's
get your
right.
hair
You
cut,
did, right.
you get the backs
I
all shaved,
forgot.
and his is real shaved, real short and stuff. So, yeah. So it's Hemlock.
You're
So
right. Yeah, I forgot
he's
about that.
so he's working for Hemlock. So he has no idea
Notice
that
how fast my hair grows in, huh?
I
Now it's
know it's
all
ridiculous. Yeah,
uh,
it's all there. Enjoy it. I don't
sorry.
have
Don't
that
wanna
issue.
don't wanna rub it in.
Yeah, rub it in there. So this is when Wolf finds out for the first time that clones are insurgents, and he says, "I'm here to get the insurgents, but you're not insurgents. You're uh, you're clones." And Rex and him have a nice big talk, whatever. Wolf and Clone X know about each other. So here's the thing. This is Ryan Airy thinks, and I don't think so. I think maybe he was teaching, but when Crosshairs was captive, because Clone X is also a sniper as well and uses a lot of the same techniques that Crosshairs does. So Ryan
Right.
Airy said that he thought that they maybe pulled his DNA, Crosshair's DNA, to make these Clone X troopers snipers as well. I think that he was just trained probably by Crosshairs because at one point at the very end, he says to him, um, "You had your chance to be one of us. You chose the wrong side." So
Right.
he wouldn't have been able to know that he chose or he had a chance to be one of them if they were using his DNA to make him. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. No, I think nah, because like, they're already cloning a dude. So now they're gonna
right,
clone a clone. That just
yeah,
feels like hey, and they're gonna clone a defective clone. Nah. And yeah, no, I don't buy that.
yeah. So I think that he definitely was there helping, training, and all kinds of stuff like that. But I don't think that they took his DNA.
Right.
So they bring these guys in.
Mhm.
Clone X has taught them his DNA. He says that loyalty means some. Oh, this is a fun scene as my chair clicks out. um, Hunter and Crosshairs are walking together, and not Hunter, Crosshairs and Omega are walking together, and you can see now that Crosshairs has a fonder feeling towards Omega than he did in season one. It's not like he hated her in season one, but now he's like very protective of her and very aware of her and aware of helping her and saving her and all that stuff.
And
And
likewise, after their journeys together, she started adopting some things that he does, like she did with Hunter, and then like she started like she has a toothpick in her mouth at one point,
did she? I
like
didn't even
Crosshair
notice that.
does.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
I didn't even
Uh,
notice that.
Yep, and there's several times like in the first season or two where like just you just get these shots where like Crosshair or Omega and Hunter are like in the same exact pose, like doing the same exact movements. So it's cool to see how she like the more she like adventures with someone, she picks up on some of their mannerisms.
Yeah, yeah, that is funny. I didn't even notice that, so that's really funny. But yeah, he says loyalty means something to him. Because when they were, held captive together, she was like, "I'm going to get you out of here."
Right.
He was like, "Don't worry about me," and she's like, "No, we're a team. I'm getting you out of here. We're family or whatever." So then the other clones realize that okay, maybe he's not a jerk. Maybe he is actually going to be one of us, and he is part of us or whatever. So then they're running through the jungle, and the ship. When Clone X shoots down the ship, and the person jumps out of the bottom of the ship, it's your favorite sound effect of all time.
Oh yeah, we'll help them
Wilhelm
scream.
scream, "Ah!" as the person jumps out. And then Clone Crosshairs and Clone X are fighting in the waterfall. Yeah, waterfall. And it ends a lot faster than I thought it would. Um,
Yeah.
just goes to show that Crosshairs is not a hand-to-hand fighting guy because he's a sniper. He's just designed to be far away and just take people out from long distances. But he almost like I watched it twice because I was like, okay, did he hold his breath? What happened? But it looks like he completely passes out underwater, and
Right.
then somebody comes up from behind and shoots um, Clone X in the back. So he lets go, and then he immediately, as soon as he lets go, he immediately pops his head up. Crosshairs immediately pops his head up out of the water.
It's the Force.
It is the four. It's
Come
your
on, man. It's Star Wars. Doesn't make sense. It's the Force.
Omega's force sensitiveness.
Omega was just on the like you didn't see off camera. Omega was like,
Yeah,
oh,
that's exactly what she was doing.
exactly that.
Exactly that. So she woke him up and pulled him out of the
That's
lifted his
it.
head up, and he woke up, and then he was freed, and we see Clone X go over the waterfall, and as we always know, unless there's blood
Didn't
or
see a
a dead
collision.
body, no collision.
We
He's
did not see his body hit the rocks at the bottom of the
nope, nope.
waterfall.
It was a 500-foot waterfall, and he's fine. Um, so then Wolf's
He went
chasing.
in like a pencil. You know,
He
he
did.
like kind of
He
did
went
one of
in feet
these.
first.
Yeah.
He was okay. Um, so then they get to the extraction point, and that's when Wolf's team comes down, and that's when they have the big discussion about, wait, you're clones also? You can't be doing this, blah blah blah. And then Wolf lets them go.
Yeah.
He
I'm
says,
sure. I'm sure there won't be any repercussions for that.
no, no. Hemlock is a very nice and understanding guy. You had Omega, which is what we
Yeah.
needed you to do, and you let her go. Okay, well, I'll just send
We'll
somebody else.
get her next time.
We'll get her next time. It's okay. Yeah.
Good,
So,
good effort, buddy.
and they go back with what's the other guys? I'm not gonna find it in here now, but the droid with the glowing mask.
Echo.
Echo? No, no, on Wolf's
No.
side.
That's gonna annoy me.
I forget his name, but he has like the glowing mask, but he's there. They did not take back Clone X with them, but I'm sure he has some kind of communication in his helmet. But they also have the sensor, so they know that he'll still
Right.
be alive. So they'll send somebody to get him. So when they send somebody to get him, they'll, I'm sure he'll also dime him out and say, "No, I led him right to him, and he let them go." So, but it is interesting because Wolf's going to be facing the repercussion from not bringing Omega in, and then that will hopefully be the turning point for Wolf to see, hey, wait, I am on the wrong side now.
Yeah.
And then at the very end of this, they always say, if you want to or they always say, he says, if you want to keep her safe, you need to know why she is so important to them. So that's now telling us what the new mission objective is to find out why is Omega so important to them that
Once
they
again, stay tuned for next time,
next
folks.
time, folks. Na 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 na. Yep.
Same
So
bat time, same bat channel.
yep. So that was everything in a very fast rundown for you because Nicholas is very tired over there. He's had a busy day with his.
I haven't said a thing.
No,
I've been just toughing it out.
you have been. You have been.
I've been yawning, but
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's been a day, but that's okay.
So I enjoyed the episodes.
Yeah, I feel like I've come off in a way that sounds like I hated them. I don't want to. I don't want to put that like I did not hate them. I thought they were good. I just don't know that this particular series is ever going to grab me in that way, unless
yeah,
something big happens. You know, like it just seems like everything is just, I don't know. It's just not for whatever reason. I'm just not falling in love with the characters. Every now and then, I'm like, all right, this is going somewhere, and then I'm just gonna like, it's fine, it's good.
yeah. I really enjoyed, and you did too, Star Wars Rebels characters.
Hmm.
Um, and I don't think there's been, well, there hasn't been any animated, I guess, since then, but um,
Right.
there
Well,
hasn't
there
been
was Resistance, right?
Resistance. That was
But
that
that,
was more
yeah.
for kids. That
And
was
but even that, like, and that's a good point because like Resistance, we were talking about like having a stake in the characters. It's not like there were all these new characters in Resist or in Rebels. You know what I mean? There were, we got Ahsoka came back and we got, but like the core guts of the group were all brand new characters, and
Yeah.
I had a stake in that. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
felt like it. I don't know. It pulled me in somehow from more than this one is.
Yeah. I think I was thinking about when I was watching it, and I think if this was a live action show, it would remind me a lot. The pacing is a lot like Andor, uh,
Hmm.
where it's slow. It's not like boring slow, but it's not nonstop action, which
Right.
I feel with like a cartoon, everything can be so much faster and really going on more. Which
Hmm.
is where like Rebels was always they were always on the go, they were always running, they
Yeah.
were always doing something. This is more storytelling, and I think Filoni wanted to maybe come up with these five characters that were all so different, kind of like a GI Joe type thing where every
Right.
character did something different. But I don't know, it is slower. I am enjoying it. Um, and I think I'm enjoying it more. I went back and rewatched season 2. I think it is a show that if you binge watch it rather than watch one episode a week, you will get a lot more out of it than watching
Okay.
one episode a week.
Sure. That makes sense.
Because when I went back and I binge watched season 2, I really enjoyed it a lot more than the first time. I remember as we were doing our weekly shows of it, we were like, whatever. But rewatching it, I was like, why did I not like this the first time? So
Right.
I think that's a
Well, you
deal.
don't have you don't have any expectation going in now. That probably helps. You
Yeah,
like it's already out. It's not like you're waiting on like, oh, I wonder what's going to happen. It's like, all right, let's just take what I already have seen and reframe it a little. It's
yeah.
like it's easier to accept something when you don't have this big like, oh, I wonder what's going to happen. I wonder what's going to have implications. I wonder it's going to.
Right, right. And like this one's fun, even these 3 episodes, because they keep dropping all these Easter eggs of all these clones, because where a couple of them wind up, and this and that. But at the same time, it is a little bit tougher but in the Clone Wars, when you watch the Clone Wars series, were you able to decipher the clones as much then as now?
More, but still, I was like, clone,
Yeah.
fives, Rex, yeah. Still,
Yeah.
I had problem,
Okay.
but it was easier, I think, just because I don't know. There were so many episodes of Clone Wars, so you got used to seeing certain clones with certain people, and I don't
Right.
know. I
And
can't
and
explain it that
and
well.
I think the art in this one, being everything is so much darker, it's really hard to see their distinctive markings that they have, like
Right,
Rex's blue armor versus
right,
Wolf's gray armor and stuff. When they're in the woods at nighttime, it all looks very similar, and all the armor is, scratched up and scuffed up and stuff. So you're disguising all of the uh signs of the individual signs because they're scuffed up and dark and whatever. So I don't know. I'm enjoying it. I'm not enjoying it as much as the Mandalorian, but I don't think anything of late has grabbed me the way the Mandalorian did. Um,
sure.
the first season the Mandalorian did either. So uh,
Yep, I'd agree. Let's
I don't
hope
know.
the Acolyte
Yeah,
rekindles some stuff. I'm
yeah.
excited about that one, but
And the Acolyte will be fun because it's 100 years before
yeah.
this, so it's going to be all
There's
new
nothing for
characters.
us. There's nothing. There's no like expectation of this has happened. This will happen. It has to lead to this.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And it
let's figure it
takes place before even who oh the Emperor, who was the Emperor Sith Lord before him?
out. Oh, Plagueis.
Plagueis. It happens even before Plagueis, so it's not even like we're going to be able to see anything that leads up to what we know now. So it's going to be all
Right.
completely different. We may only just see Yoda because that guy's like 9,000 years old. When
Yep.
900 years old you are, you look this good.
That's
Um,
right.
so yeah, so we may see him every once in a while. I hope we don't see him all the time.
Right.
because then it would just be like the Yoda stories from 100 years younger, and he
Right.
probably will look the same, maybe a little less, but who knows? So, yep, so that's what we have. Maybe we get some new characters that we really fall in love with there.
We'll
So I
see.
don't know. So that's that. So that's a breakdown of these 3 episodes of The Bad Batch, which I liked.
The
It's good.
El Batch Malo.
Malo.
Stay tuned for our Spanish translated podcast. It's going to be muy bien.
Muy bien. It would be great. You have to get your mom on and just we'll watch an episode and she'll just translate everything into Spanish for us.
That'd be great. I think she would not be game for that, but I could try.
I think she would not want to do that at all. She would say,
Yeah,
Nicholas,
sounds like literal hell to her.
Nicholas, this is not fun, Nicholas. I'll just go play
She
with
calls
my
me Nikki.
grandbaby. Nikki, I'm gonna go play with my grandbaby.
That's right.
That's what
I
she'll
wouldn't
say.
blame her either. All right. Well, so yeah, that's more episodes of Bad Batch. How many episodes are there total going to be?
That was 7, so there's got to be 9 maybe. I think we got a couple to go. I didn't even think of that. Oops, here we go. All there are. Oh no, there's a lot. Holy cow,
Yeah, I thought there was
15.
going to be a good amount. All right.
15. All right.
So we're
So
about
that was
halfway through.
episode 7, Extraction. Bad Territory comes out on March 20th. The Harbinger comes out on Harbinger comes out on the 27th. April 3rd is Identity Crisis. Oh my gosh. Identity Crisis on April 3rd. 2 of them on April 3rd.
All right.
Right. And our Point of No Return, Identity Crisis, and Point of No Return on April 3rd. Juggernaut on April 10th. Into the Breach, April 17th. Flash Strike on April 24th. And the Cavalry has arrived on May 1st. I wonder what's going to happen.
Oh boy. The cavalry will arrive.
The cavalry will arrive. So
there you go. What a spoiler. They already gave us a spoiler.
I know. The whole cavalry's coming. The horses.
Well, might as well not watch anymore.
The Pony Express will be there. The guys with hats and
Mounties, freaking Canadian Mounties.
Canadian Mounties will be there.
You said giant floppy hats, eh?
We're here to save the day, eh?
Hey, where's the Jedi at, eh?
Is there anybody with a lightsaber around here, eh?
Before the Canadian embassy calls, we should probably call this clip.
We should stop making fun of the Canadians. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're gonna get canceled by Canada. That's possible.
That's all right. They don't listen to us.
That's I've seen the metrics. They don't. You're right. Freaking Canada.
Freaking Canada.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us. I'm gonna go to sleep.
Yes, me too. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be wonderful.
From Rob at Bantha Podcast headquarters and me in my house.
And Nick's house.
We've spoken.
We have spoken.